Hello, welcome back to the channel. So first off, happy Christmas. This is one of my Christmas presents I'm talking about. I'm a bit stuffy with the cold. I seem to have had this cold for almost 2 weeks now. I'm at the back end of it. But I want to get this video done just because of the way time off happens. If I don't do it now, it won't happen for a few weeks. And actually, the light is pretty good today, so I get that done. I live west coast of Scotland, middle of winter. It can be very dark, it can be very rainy and stuff as well, so get it done. So I do apologise if I do sound a bit stuffy. But anyway, enough of the preamble. Hail Caesar, War of the Roses. Hail Caesar, second edition rulebook, and I went up to the War of the Roses. I've not got that book yet, but I do have a great interest in Wars of the Roses. So if you've seen my other videos, I've never mind the bill hooks in 28mm War of the Roses. I've also tried Lion Rampant with it. Much prefer bill hooks. The other thing about Wars of the Roses is once a month I run history talks. It's now been branded as talks, and certainly for the coronation of King Charles III this year, or was it last year? It's all blurred into one. I did a talk on the Wars of the Roses, and mainly because we had so many king changes in that time. So when this supplement was announced, I was really excited to get it, and it's one of my Christmas presents. You also get a miniature with it. If I was more organised, I would have that miniature with us, but let's see what you've got. Now, I love Warlord Game supplements. I generally pick them up, especially these fellas, as opposed to, say, the Bot Action Army Book ones. It's quite nice to dip into, look at, get inspiration from. So contents, as we see, we've got a bit of history, colours and livery about the armies, commanders, special rules, field of battle, setting up a game, sub scenarios, loads of scenarios, 75 pages scenarios, set of campaign rules at the end, and some other things. All the miniature pictures in here are Perry Miniature War of the Roses. In my opinion, one of the best 28mm rangers, certainly one of the most accessible with the plastics. I'll be doing another video to this, looking at how I tend to use my current existing forces, which are 4, never mind the bill hooks, and play some Hail Caesar games. Looking at maybe Hail Caesar games having bigger battles, I do like the scale and scope of our never mind the bill hooks game for a games night. So background to war. It's a fascinating period. It was both a dynastic struggle, and it wasn't called the Wars of the Roses at the time until after the fact. But amongst that dynastic struggle, who would be king, there was a lot of other feuds and factions joined in, adding their support, removing the support, betrayal, people's ambitions, treachery, and feuding. Yeah, really fascinating period of history. So I'll skip through that. Also, one wider context. So for the wars in England, obviously there was French, Burgundian support as well. Scotland played a key role in it. Well, not a key role, but a major role in it, being England's only major land border. About the armies, formations, and the armies were pretty simple at the time. Billmen, men-at-arms, and archers being the mainstay of all the forces. So I'm just sticking through. So this is a really interesting section, colours and livery. So coming up with colours for your troops. So you can either use historical families and coats of arms, and there are some in here. Okay, or you can invent your own. Bit of terminology. You can also roll on the tables to see what you might be creating your own livery if you wanted to create your own characters and commanders. Certainly, I tend to use one of my main sort of nobles is someone I invented for Game of Thrones role-playing game, and I've kind of kept and expanded the family, and so it was with the Roses commander as well. So Oswick brand, and they have blue and yellow, or I should say azure and or colours. And actually they were defending the coast, and so I designed like a yellow field, blue sky, and like a fortress on, which became a trident. And I didn't realise this at the time, but I basically created the flag of Barbados. So wherever possible, I use that as one of my factions. So yeah, really interesting stuff with delivery. Commanders, so it goes through a lot of the key figures through the War of the Roses, and talks about them, and also special rules for using them in the games. So as you see, loads of those. You know, the War of the Roses went on for several years, certainly 3-4 kings. So a lot of people. Special rules and army lists. So special rules adds a bit more flavour to the game. One of the things I like about bill hooks is you've got ammunition tokens for your archers. Same thing here. Basically 3 arrow tokens for your archers. Makes you think about how you're going to use them. Obviously rules for treachery, stuff like that. Feuds, mercenaries, sort of things that did have an impact on Wars of the Roses. Armies, I do like an army list, not because I'm a slave to playing points games, but I do like to look at how armies are formed and help structure and understand what I'm collecting. Commander traits, I do like a random roll, so you can have virtues and foibles, and there's your army list for the Wars of the Roses. Like it says, household troops, builds and longbows, can also be men-at-arms and longbows, billmen, longbows, Scots or Irish, light horse, mounted men-at-arms. There weren't that many mounted troops in the Wars of the Roses. Crossbowmen, handgunners, continental halberds, halberds and crossbowmen, pikemen, continental pikemen, spearmen, kerns, and some guns. So, like I say, those plastic boxes that the Perrys do will pretty much cover everything that you need. Field of battle, setting up a battle, so looking both at terrain but also weather. Several of the battles had sort of mists or in a snowstorm, and they had a major impact on the battlefield. And then sort of now looking at the scenario, so it's, and actually the scenarios are relatively manageable. I think you're looking at about 15 units for most of the games. And like I say, I'm going to talk about that in another video. So this intertwines a bit of history with the scenarios. Now I think epic battles would really suit War of the Roses. So you're only going to have to make 2 or 3 different sprues. And I was wondering if this was created as maybe an epic battle supplement. I see how it goes. And it's being turned into a full-scale supplement. I don't know. I'm just guessing now. So yeah, Battle of Hexham up in the north near where I'm from. So it's got the key battles, but it also goes into a bit of, when I get that Tewkesbury, Third War of the Roses, ending in Bosworth Field. Yeah, so it goes, Wars Without Roses, a few of the other battles that went on around it, not just in the dynastic struggle. So Raid on Sandwich, which is French versus English. Siege of Carlisle. Actually, I lived in Carlisle for 3 years. My walk to work was along the city walls, past the castle, so past Ricard Gate. So I've actually sort of know this really well. So I want to do Siege of Carlisle Castle. Really fascinating battle. So the I think the Lancastrians and the Scots came down to try and take Carlisle Castle, and the Yorkists were holding Carlisle and came on behind it. So you have the sort of Lancastrian siege lines trying to take the castle, and then the Yorkish troops will turn up behind them. I think it's like a railway down there at the moment. So yeah, so that is something I really do want to have a go at. A few of the battles there, like I say, loads of scenarios, loads of ideas, giving you an idea of how formations were formed. I do like a scenario because you're recreating history, but also you'll get an underdog. Don't get me wrong, I do like a game where I put down 800 points versus 800 points, best general wins, but also like the challenge of being an underdog, of commanding smaller amounts of troops versus others. And then finally onto the campaign, and the campaign looks fairly simple, fairly easy, and certainly I'll probably be stealing some elements of this for some of the campaign play we're going to be doing in the club next year. Won't be War of the Roses, it'll be English Civil War, or should I say War of the Three Kingdoms, as it should be known as. Campaign guides, including that weather, mercenaries, random, and finally, actually not just one campaign, but how to do these campaigns for different periods. So, for example, the war that wasn't Sun and Splendour, which was Edward, War in the North, which was mainly Percy's versus Neville's, I believe, Warwick, Buckingham, Gamble, and then some sort of cards to help you remember special rules as the game goes on, and some more maps. So overall, pretty cool supplement. Got me excited again about War of the Roses. I was wanting to play some more games of Bill Hooks. My forces aren't quite big enough to play some of the battles for Hail Caesar, but certainly it's given me an inspiration to push on my painting and get my troops done for it. If you've got an interest in the Wars of the Roses and wargaming, definitely a big for you. It's a fascinating period of history, and yeah, worth a read. Anyway, that is me for now. I'm going to probably go and take some sort of hot toddy, see if I can finally finish off this cold. But I look forward to chatting to you in another video. That's goodbye for now. Goodbye.